Well, hi, and welcome to another LRCC Soundbite. I wanted to tell you a little story today. It starts just before Jesus died. In fact, not long after he was arrested. You see, Peter, who was one of Jesus' disciples, had followed the guards to see where they were going to take Jesus. And while he was waiting outside the building that they'd got him in, he was near a fire, keeping warm with lots of other people. And a woman recognised Peter. And she asked him, are you one of the ones who was with Jesus? But Peter said, no, it wasn't me. You must have confused me with someone else. A little later, someone else asked him again. And for a second time, he denied it. And then a third person, a relative, in fact, of the servant who Peter had injured earlier that evening, again said, no, I'm sure it was you that was there in the garden with Jesus. And a third time, Peter denied it. Now, these events had been predicted by Jesus, and to seal the deal, Jesus had told Peter that a cock would crow after Peter had denied him 3 times. And sure enough, a cock crowed, and at the sound of that, Peter was distraught. Now, let's fast forwards a little bit. After Jesus had risen back to life, and he was on the beach enjoying barbecued fish with his friends, and he took Peter to one side, and he asked him a question. Peter, he said, do you love me? Yes, Lord, you know I love you, Peter answered. Feed my lambs, was Jesus' reply. And then he asked Peter another question. He said, do you love me? Again, Peter replied, yes, Lord, you know I love you. This time, Jesus' reply was, tend my sheep. And then a third time, Jesus asked, Peter, do you love me? Now, feeling hurt that Jesus had asked for a third time, Peter replied, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. And this time Jesus replied, feed my sheep. Peter would go on to spread the news of Jesus far and wide. Eventually he ended up in Rome. He became the first pope. Many people look at these 3 questions that Jesus asked as mirroring those 3 times that Peter denied Jesus before he died. A way of reinstating Peter, if you like. Now, this story says to me that the things that we have done in the past don't have to dictate the future we have. They don't go away, but they don't have to shape what comes. Peter had followed Jesus for 3 years, yet at the point when Jesus needed Peter's support the most, Peter wasn't there for him, and in fact turned away from him and didn't stand up for him. Yet, of course, that wasn't the end of the road for Peter. In fact, it was probably a bump in the middle of a much, much greater journey, another that would have had other low spots as well. I don't think Peter would ever forget either of these 2 events, but I think he would draw strength from them. So I don't know what might have been in your past. What I can say, though, is that whatever may be there, Jesus does not abandon us. He doesn't turn away from you. Sometimes the past can be painful to remember, and yet Jesus can help you draw strength from it. If you'd like to ask us more about it, or even just want someone to talk to, always feel free to get in touch. I pray you'll have a good week. God bless you.